All right, and we're back, I do believe. I think where I left it off, I was working on. So I did get the pigeon to work, and I have gotten emails about failures. So that's all up. So there is continuous monitoring in the background, and I think where I was, yeah, figure out this payload structure, and I did think of it. I think I was just a little slow whenever we were going through all this because I think I remember what I wanted it to look like. I think it was going to be like page view, and that should maybe even be required. Um, no, I guess it doesn't have to be. Nothing has to be required in this because it'll count the overall. Uh, I take that back. Maybe it wouldn't count anything unless it's specifically a page or a page view because you might be able to create a stat in the future that isn't necessarily a page view, like let's say a purchase or um, uh, click away or I don't know, some other zoom in, whatever the event could be, and you want to keep a statistic on it, like a count on it, then it'll be set. Um, so page view, and this will be like a string, and then what it would be is to fit statistic to fit what I've already written. And this would be identifier. So, and then so on and so forth. So what this is pretty much doing, you can put whatever statistics you want in a call to stats, and would it be a post or a put? Maybe it'd be a put. So when you have a page view, it goes into page views and it adds to page name. Well, I guess I'll just, yeah. So it will know then in the database stuff, because I think this is where I was stuck. Um, yeah, it was in here. Stats updates in the body. So I'll be able to tell from the key what statistic we're affecting, and then from the value I'll be able to add to the nested value. So I'll have key and then value. So this would be, the update would be set, I guess it'd be key dot value, right? Yeah. Is equal to key dot value, and then it'll just be that. Oops. So it'll be attribute is equal to attribute plus 1. Yeah. Yep. So for instance on this, let's say it was page view slash hello, you get the key and the value, and it would be page view dot hello. Ooh, no, it would be stats dot page views dot stats dot page view dot hello, or dot slash hello rather. I need to maybe escape anything in the value. Naming rules. Okay, so it can only contain those, which means, so the dashes and the underscores, so that means I cannot add in, well, maybe because it's nested it'll let me. I don't know, I could try it. I don't know if it's valid JSON even. It is valid JSON. So maybe it'll let me. I don't know, there's only one way to find out. So yeah, it'd be stats dot whatever. So I'll, yeah, stats sort key. Oh, is it the same? That's a secondary. Oh, okay. I see, I see. So it wouldn't be stats, it would be just key dot value. So the top level attribute would be page views. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it constructs the updates with the body, it pulls the keys and values out of the body. If there's a value, then you add it in here. And then we have a TTL, which is now plus however long, I think it was 30 days. So set TTL if it doesn't exist. Push that, and then we have all of our updates. Oh, so I guess I don't need that since it's going to set it for me. Then we have attribute names and values. I think that's okay. I mean, maybe I could add that as like an attribute name and value, but I'm not too worried about that. And then we have the results, and then it prints out. So I'm going to pull this into here. And stats. 8 params. And I need to make sure that stats is the correct thing. This is add to stats. Do I have one here now? No. Okay. I'll keep the mostly alphabetical order. So I need site ID and then I need stats, or I'll just do body. And then it's sites.add to stats. Both of these. There is no authorization for this, at least in the unique ID sense. So now we come in here. Index, we push to port. Okay, so this is going to be different. So the body's going to be different. I'll just call that stats, and then I have site ID. And from there, it'll all just fall into place. Site ID and stats, so it parses out the message, so that means in here I'm going to have to make sure I give it what I'm expecting. So I need a site ID. Oh boy. And then stats. I think I'm going to have to construct. So my message is going to be this is the body, and I know that's already valid JSON, and then I have my site ID, which is, oh, I forget how to do this. It's like input dot param, I forget. Input params returns the value of a method. Request parameter from the path. Query string or header value searched in that order. Recommend that you use util escape to sanitize it. I have done that before. That's probably a good reference back to this. There's the events. Okay, so I'll pull that out. This is my site ID. Did I actually call it site ID? I did. And then this whole thing needs to be wrapped in util escape JavaScript. And there's my site ID and the body. And then I'm going to make this application JSON, and we're going to see if that works, because I don't know if that works. Yeah, so this will probably be what gets me stuck today. That's my guess. But I'll go through the code and try to make it as clean as I can. So I have the message here. After it's parsed, push to the port. Okay, so also the reason I'm doing these promises. So it comes in to the handler. I don't need any of that. It comes into the handler. Oh yeah, I haven't linted it in a long time, have I? I'll do that later. Comes into the handler, the event does, and then I'm going to have this array of promises that I eventually await all on, so I can do them all parallel. So I go through the event records, and then for each record, I'm going to parse out from the payload the message, which is the same thing I send in this. So it'd be site ID and body. which is just the entire body. In JSON, I'll show the velocity. Returns a raw request payload as a string, so it's JSON string. So then I parse that out, and then I have my site ID and my body, which I'll call stats, and then I'll push that all in. That'll hit the port, and it'll have the same, well, the same look, and then that will probably just go straight into the logic. And then return. So it'll go into the logic, and the logic we'll also have site ID and stats. I don't know what that's about. And this is just going to be something else. I don't know if I'll be able to do this. Site ID and then stats. I don't know. Either way, what this is going to do is go to the shared port called add to stats. And then add to, we'll just wait, add to stats, site ID and stats. That's a very straightforward endpoint there. It just passes it all through, but I guess if I ever need to do any validation in the middle somewhere, it's going to happen. Let's see. If this were SQL, would it do it the same way? How would you construct that? This is what I like to do for my outgoing ports, especially to DynamoDB. It's like, what if I used a different data store? Would it change how I'm writing this code? And the answer up until the port, the outgoing port, should be no. Which this mostly has play with the logic. Because right now I'm just passing it through, and I think I could do that, but if it was SQL, I think it would probably be modeled differently. You'd probably have a stats table, you'd probably have the site ID, and then you would probably I guess you could do a blob. You could do like a JSON blob. Or is it just called blob? Or maybe they have a JSON type. I forget. It probably depends on the version too. I think they only released JSON later, like MySQL. But I'm sure other SQL databases have that. Let's see. I think the model is what's really going to dictate the shape of the statistics object. And then, I don't know, I think it is kind of up to the database how it enters that data with the outgoing port. I don't think there's much logic to it. Well, I mean, I guess there isn't really any logic to it. This could very easily just be an endpoint that transforms data and transforms it to the data model and puts it in a database, because any logic with it is going to be on that, like when we read it out. But I think this is probably just raw data, so I don't think there's anything wrong with doing this. I'll do that. Maybe not. Okay. Oops. Let's see if it even sends. I think it'll synth, but I'm not sure it's going to work, especially with the application JSON stuff and in the SNS. In the SNS. For my SNS transformation in API Gateway. We'll have to see. Yeah, I don't know. Because you can just throw JSON in there, and if it's valid JSON, then it shouldn't really matter, right? I don't know. I don't know if DynamoDB is going to get mad by having a slash in there. We'll find out. Yeah, I was making changes there were some pigeon changes I was making in my other one. Namely the logging. I didn't have a retention period on my Lambda logs, so I just had to change that around. That's a trick for anyone trying to save a little bit of money on AWS. Though, anytime you give them data, they will charge you for keeping it, and they will keep it indefinitely by default. If there's ever any, unless it's like explicitly stated, like a queue, that it'll only hold it for up to a day or whatever, then expect that it holds it forever. So that means logs, that means any files in S3, that means anything in DynamoDB. So go through, and they all have like very easy ways of making themselves not store that data, hold on to that data. So you just have to set it, and I guess if you think about it, it's smart on AWS's part or any cloud provider's part to just retain data indefinitely by default, because if you deleted someone's data and they had different storage requirements, no storage requirement is going to say you can only hold this for 7 days. And if it does, then people are going to know, okay, then I have to either create a process or configure it in such a way that it'll be deleted after 7 days. But otherwise, it's kind of assumed that things will stay around indefinitely. So it makes sense on any cloud provider's part to store it indefinitely, but also give the options to delete it, because no one benefits from having data just linger and not be used. The data needs to be used, or else it's irrelevant, right? If no one ever looks back at it, then it's just a waste of storage. And I have a feeling that there's a lot of wasted storage. I wonder if AWS tracks that metric and publishes it, like the amount of data stored versus the amount of data accessed. Yeah, I don't imagine they will. They probably don't. Alright, so that's updating, but the stat stuff should be good by now. So I'm going to post something, and I'm going to post my page view to /hello. Other stat. Oh, yes. See if this even makes it past API Gateway. No. So now comes the hard part. Debugging an API gateway is difficult. It's a lot of, from what I can tell, oops. It's a lot of trial and error of just what works and what doesn't. My guess is this one, it's got to do with the application JSON stuff and the way that the payload's transformed. And that's just, I mean, just have to go through that, unfortunately. So I'll go ahead and test it. Actually, go back. There's no auth, right? Okay. So my site ID. I guess it doesn't really matter, does it? And then that's my, oh, those are headers. There's the body. And I want to test it and see what it says. Endpoint body after transformations. Oh, I guess I probably have to like escape that, don't I? Maybe not. I imagine I do, but maybe not. Just a straight 400. Well, at least it's a 400. Invalid parameter, topic error, or target error, and reason no value for required parameter. Well, topic error is definitely there. Yeah, now unfortunately, there's not, from what I can tell, there's not very much documentation about this stuff. I mean, maybe I'll find some doing this, but I could not find any when I originally went through doing this. The only one was Alex Debris has one about, that's the one. He has this blog post. This is the only way I was able to get this stuff to work. And if you look here, this SNS path // that's why I had it with no action in the CDK construct and the path as /. It was because of the way that he did it. And I don't know. Let's see if you can do it in JSON though. I'd much prefer that. Oh, he did it like raw. With Postman. Impressive. As a header. Oh, he put it as a header. Ah, that's new. Yeah. And query strings. Query parameters. Hmm. With AWS support, even though you're sending push, you'll not be able to send JSON message in the body of the message. Instead, you must URL encode the JSON pass it as a query parameter. Ah. Start with the root object of default. Who's... Oh, that's Ken. Oh. I haven't heard about that. Ah, yeah. You have to? Does it say? I want to see where it says you have to encode it. What is it called? URL encoded. It doesn't say that anywhere. I don't get why it's a post with URL encoded parameters. See? What? JSON format for message is as follows. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you can't. Which is just sad. XAWS. This is like examples. This is a weird repo. I'm not gonna trust that one. Let's see. Let's do SNS publish. Oh, that's not what I was looking for. I guess they have something called raw package delivery. Yeah, I mean, I get the feeling that you have to do URL encoded parameters. I don't know why though. Why? Common parameters. maybe code examples. Yeah, it uses the SDK though. Publish to a topic. I didn't know they had a C++ SDK. Let's see if I can find SDK. I just want to find it. I gotta find the code, and then I gotta get into it and see if I can like verify that that's what they're doing too. Oh yeah, it's not. What was it? Clients. Let's see. Public commands. Publish. Publish command. Handler execution context. I don't know what's really going on here. Huh. What in the world? Oh, there's so much junk in here, I feel like. No hate to the people who write this, but this is pretty wild. Are there tests, maybe? Aha. Functional tests? What? Are these files just enormous? Or are there just no tests? Versions? What in the world? I don't think there are any tests. What in the world? React Native, I don't care about that. Holy cow, what? Maybe they just don't have tests. Or maybe it's in like the old SDK. Maybe it's just not a v3. That's better. City of services. Ah, there's no SNS. interesting. Bizarre. I don't understand how it works. What? Model. APIs. SNS 2010 331. What in the world? Oh, and then it's just like a open API document. That's what it looks like. Holy shit. This is huge. Publish. The tool. Okay. Post. Request URI. Shape publish input. Oh my gosh. Okay. Now I want to find publish input. Oh, golly. That's it? It doesn't tell me, like, how to make the request or anything? Alright, I've done enough. I don't understand, like, where it actually makes requests or anything. I feel like it should be in clients. What's the entry? What's the main? Oh, what? I guess the distribution? Commands, models. Oh, how did I get back to V3? I don't know. Protocols? What's protocols? What's AWS query? Is that query string? If add permission command. Publish command input. Oops. Okay. It's only one. It's this. Build form URL encoded string. Okay. Where's this? 4,000 of this file? Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I mean, at least there's this. Like, I did find, even in the SDK, this is what they do. I don't like it. But, and then, yeah, they just, I can't believe they do that. Yeah, it's got to be URL encoded. All right, whatever. All right, let me move the body over here. that's valid. Don't want that. I'll do that. Don't want that. Oops. Can't be that. Has to be that. That's a post. That's all fine. Operation. With string. Post stats. All right. Unfortunate as it is, I think this is just what it has to look like. Oh, maybe I need a URL encode all this. I'll try it out. Wait, no, I probably need to. Because it was once a string, or maybe can I like stringify it? I might have to do something funky with it. What did I do in the calendar API? Because I'm pretty sure I copied over some IDs too. No. I want these ones. Information props. Message. What did message look like? Yeah, you have to URL encode everything. You have to URL encode everything as an object. Jeez. Yeah. Yeah. I remember this now. I have to get the let message. I'm just going to do it the same way I did it, like this, because, yeah. Oh boy. That's backed up. That's, oh, whoops. Undo. So I don't need all that stuff. What? I might change this to post stats message. And then no, I don't need any of that. So I need to equals URL encode the site ID. I don't need that. Just need to escape JavaScript site ID. Right? And then I need to URL encode this. The body, that's the end, and this will be just input body. What does that one go to? It's all that. It's input body, and then I'll URL encode the back half of it, and then just add this in. I do not like this, but I think that is correct. So what happened, I had to do this before, which is why I just went ahead and did it without explaining it and decided to explain it later. So with velocity and objects, so I need to URL encode everything using this util function so that it will match this URL encoded content type. In order to do that, I cannot, unfortunately, URL encode everything at once. I can only do one string at a time. So what I'm pretty much doing here is building the object piece by piece, and instead of being able to just substitute in values when I need to, you have to stop the encoding, add in the value, and then start the encoding again. So what's happening is I have, and the way like this plus equals, there are no breaks in the line, so it'll just be one line. And then these backslashes, there is no break in those lines. So it'll all end up being one line, one huge URL encoded payload. So I URL encode the beginning of the object, like the opening bracket, the quotes, the site ID, and then the opening quotes for the site ID. Then I escape the JavaScript of the param site ID. Then this next line, I URL encode the closing quote for this opening quote for site ID. And then I do the body key, and again, open quote for the body. No, this is wrong. I would not need to do that because the body will return itself as a string. I take that back. It will return itself as a string, I believe, a JSON string. Either way, I close the string and then I close the object, and that all has to be URL encoded on its own. And then I'll just throw this in messages, but I think it's cleaner to do it outside like this. Also, that shall be, yeah. So the body, now I'm gonna go back and make sure velocity. As a string. So I think I'll need to put quotes around it because I think that would just add it just like how it is. I don't know. We'll see. I'll deploy it and then we'll go from there. And then the rest of these attributes, so the publish is necessary, and then the topic ARN is necessary. Those are just basic parameters. And then I have these message attributes. And this was kind of funky to figure out how it worked. Because I don't think Alex Debris had this in his blog post, but you have a message attribute and the name and a value. So it's pretty much like an object, but you have to manually define the name and the value for each one, and you have to give it its order. So the name of this attribute is called operation. It is a string, and the value of the string is post stats. And then when you come down here, where's my subscription? My subscription has a filter policy on operation, which matches with this guy, and post stats. Or the allow list is post stats. That's where that works. Yeah. Oh, here too. So that's where that comes from. I guess we'll go ahead and deploy this. I can't believe you can't use JSON. That's frustrating, but that was like an hour of just looking into figuring out if I could do it, and figuring out I couldn't do it, and then reverting all the changes I had made. It's just annoying. I don't know why they would make an API that requires all that data form URL encoded. Or as a URL encoded form, I should say. It's bizarre to me. But to each their own, I guess. And I think once the stats one is done, I think getting the stats will be somewhat easy to do. Because I'll probably just return everything in that item, except maybe the TTL. Probably. And then, I guess is that it for now? That would be post and then get. and then I'll probably make some sort of front end for it. Yeah. All right, there's that. Oh, there's still a... That's too bad. That's not right. See what it looks like. That looks fine to me. So what's the problem? Oh, I got a 200. So S&S went through. And then I tried to transform it. And after transformations, it was that. And it completed with the 202. So what was the problem? S&S completed. So at least, I mean, I can go find that. Where's my Lambda? Post stats. Lambda. I think it's that one. So it was probably invoked. Let's see what those logs look like. And in the meantime, I think it's probably something in my response. If it was a 202, it's supposed to just let it through. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a... And it provides an empty object. I don't know, I gave it 500. $500 is anything but a 200. And then this is just a 202 or a 500. So I don't know what happened. Unless maybe the API wasn't deployed yet. Which is also possible. Unexpected token. Oh. JSON parse. So I tried to parse it, but it couldn't. Where's the log? I thought I had a... Oh, there's so many. Let me go ahead and delete some of these. Alright. Don't need that. I'll pull that up in a second. I always want the readme up, and then this. Here we go. So I tried to parse it, but I couldn't. I'll just do that for now. I should be able to alter that. Yeah. Deploy it, please. Ah, there it is. There's the 202. Okay. Yeah, it just hadn't been updated yet. And let's see. This is what we have. Oh boy. Site ID and then body. And it probably doesn't like that there's a new line. So how can I... Okay. Maybe I need to do this. Returns it as a JSON string. Maybe that's what I need. I know I've done that in here as well, and I think it's you can just use a $sign. Yeah, there we go. Input path or input path. JSON object representation. No, I think probably just that. Yeah. So I'll do that except for JSON. Where's the body? Oops. Right, that's what it was. Oh, I wrote it. So for this, what I can do, I can just update it in here. So I believe it's in here in the integration request and the mapping template in the application JSON. And then I'll just copy all that. And then I gotta find where the body is, and then I just copy over the body and put that in, and then save it, and then redeploy it. It's kind of a hacky but faster way to do it. Yeah. And that was about 28 that I did it. There's the 28. So this is what it looks like. It's still got those. Probably wasn't deployed yet. Yeah, sometimes if you hit an endpoint faster than it was too quickly after it has been deployed, then it sends it on the same one still. Okay, that's better. So now the body was page view, hello, other stat, yes. But it still got something that I didn't like. It's when it tries to parse the stringified message. So maybe this isn't valid JSON? Because it takes the message, right? And it tries to parse the message. So let's go here. There's that. And then if I do this message is equal to string message. Yeah. So it doesn't like that. Why don't we like that? It doesn't like that body had a page view. What if I take those quotes out? And I do that. Oh. Then it doesn't like the 96. I don't know if it includes the quotes or not. So I'm going to take the quotes. And it didn't like the P at position 59. No. So maybe it doesn't take it with the slashes? And then take that away. Sure. So this one is 96. That minus 1. Okay. So it doesn't like. Oh yeah, there's an extra. What? Body is that. And then there's that. And then it. Hey, where did that third one come from? Oh, I think I just copied it wrong. Yeah. What? There are two there. Oh, wait. be something wrong in here. I'm pretty sure it had to do with that. I don't know how that all worked out, but so that did work, which means that I just need to get rid of that and that. And it almost acts like I need to get rid of that, but I don't know where that came from. I'm gonna save it and deploy it like this. And then I also want to come back in here and do the same thing, just to keep those synced up. I guess because it counts it as a string. I don't know how it did that, but I think this is the correct format up until that weird like extra bracket, but can't win them all, I guess. I'm looking around 734. It does retry stuff, so that's what's happening there. Unexpected token P. Oh, it kept the... I probably just waited, or didn't wait long enough. Yeah, because those are gone. So, I just didn't wait long enough. Let's try again. That was at like 3527. I'll just do this. There it is, 3527. I don't know where this guy comes from. Where does it come from? I mean, it looks like it's... Oh. I think I just copied it wrong. Nope, it's right there. Dang it. Yeah. It was because it was just sitting there. It had nothing to do with the encoding. It was just sitting there. And that's just the way that velocity works. So I'll wait a couple seconds before I make another request, since it's been taking a while to deploy. Save now. Sometimes it takes a while. There we go. There we go. Cool. So it did parse it correctly, and that's what it looks like. There's the body and there's the site ID. So it did that much correctly. And I don't need this anymore. So it got through here. I don't want this anymore. And then it got through here, and it got to here, and then it got to here, into here, and then it did know what to do. Construct updates, and I want to pull that out of construct updates. Construct stats updates. Okay. And then I have to redeploy it. And this will also be an indication as to whether or not I copied this over correctly from those changes that I was making, or rather this. And I think I did. But we'll let it do its thing, we'll let it deploy. Now we wait. Just making sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, because I updated that shared layer, it's going to update all the lambdas. Because there's a new layer version now. Sometimes there's just a lot of waiting. Oh, there we go. Okay. Let's see if it was accepted. Insomnia does that. It takes 200 milliseconds, but Insomnia takes like a year. Alright, it already made it through. Alright, so we got to the updates, which is good. Now we get to see this. Contains invalid key. Yeah. wait, contain. Validation exception. That was the key it had a problem with? I thought it'd have a problem with that one. Has a problem with that? What if I just take that off? Does it have a problem with this? Oh. Now it has a problem with that one. Syntax contains invalid attribute names. Contains invalid key. Yeah, that's what I was worried about. Yeah. I don't think I can use slashes. That's good. My guess is it's just because I used that, the slash character. Alphanumeric. Oh, maybe it's just this. Maybe if I like combine it, because it has to be alphanumeric. I'll try that because it didn't. Yeah. Maybe it's fine. I don't know. But yeah, I should probably like. Let's see. No dot. How do I strip anything that's not alphanumeric? Slav Hadiev. Thanks, buddy. Ah. That's cool. Well, that's what I'm looking for. Thank you, sir. Um, version. So the actual attribute will retain everything, and then the alphanumeric one will not. And that will be used in these places. Yeah. Okay. Let's try that. That might get me over the hump of like the alphanumeric stuff, and then we'll see if DynamoDB accepts a nested attribute with a slash in it. We'll see about that one. It takes 2 minutes. You got a decent looking blog, man. What'd you use? It's like these wanderlusty pictures. A lot of React. A lot of front end stuff. Just waiting around. Here goes nothing. I can't do +1? That's correct. That's correct. Cool. So I did that, but I didn't like the +1. Near +1? I might have to pick this one up next time. I don't know what the problem is with that. I'll try to look into it a little bit more offline. But yeah, I don't really know exactly why it doesn't like that syntax. Why it doesn't like the number 1. But that's all part of it. I'll get there eventually. So, all right. Well, If you watched, thanks for watching. If you want to use, I always say this after everyone, if you want to use any of what I'm doing, feel free to. It's all open source. There's a link to the GitHub repo. Um, and if you're curious about using this kind of stuff, want some help setting it up, let me know. I'm more than happy to help people out. If you want to get in contact with me, my email's all over the place. It's definitely on my blog, and you can get to my blog from the channel. Um, so yeah, feel free to reach out and let me know if this was helpful, if you liked it, or if you didn't like it, I guess. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.